What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another Hyundai Daily Driver video. In this video, we are going to be doing some highway driving and testing out the Smart Driver Assist features in our Hyundai 2025 Tucson Limited Hybrid version. Today we are on firmware version 147.25.0.22.4. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get this drive underway. And if you're new to the channel here, first of all, welcome. On this channel, we love talking about technology and just Hyundai as a car company, and really more so the Smart Driver Assist features and how they will be evolving over the years with the use of their over-the-air updates. I'm really keen to see if they are able to kind of improve this system with the current kind of chipset that comes standard in these cars. This 2025 model and 2026 model, from my knowledge, they're pretty similar. So if this is something that you all are interested in, feel free to stick around to see kind of how this car performs. We'll be discussing and kind of reacting to how the car handles with the Highway Driver Assist features and the Smart Cruise Control 2, which is their version of adaptive cruise control when it comes to highway driving. We should be getting some decent amount of highway driving on our drive today. So I'm excited to see kind of what the traffic situation is looking like out there. It's currently 11:15 here, so I wouldn't really say we're in the middle of any morning or afternoon commuting. But we can go ahead and get some testing done just on this local road right here. I've gone ahead and engaged the lane center keep. We'll go ahead and engage the Smart Cruise Control 2 feature. We're sitting at a follow distance of 4. So we'll kind of see handle. I know this system isn't really designed for these non-highway roads, more local roads, but you can still use them and they can still handle pretty well, in my opinion. Right now the car is controlling the acceleration and deceleration of the car, as well as keeping the car centered in lane. So you can see, while it doesn't really know that there's a red light up here, it's kind of basing off of the car distance in front of us. And actually the car has come to kind of a complete stop on its own. It's engaged the brake on its own, and we'll see kind of how long. You can see right here I've got the notification, use the switch or pedal to accelerate. So I've gone ahead and just tapped the gas pedal. So the car is now kind of engaged on its own. We'll see kind of how it handles going through the intersection. It handles really well going through the intersection, even though there wasn't any painted lines on the road. It still kind of kept us nice and centered in the lane. We've got that warning, keep the hands on the steering wheel, so had to go ahead and just give a slight nudge to the steering wheel just to let it know that, hey, we're still here. But now the car again is doing everything on its own. Got another red light coming up, and as a human driver, I can definitely see that light. The car's not actually visually seeing the red light in front of us. It's making its decisions based on the car in front of us for its acceleration, deceleration. So one thing that I would do probably different as just a human driver is that I saw the red light was up ahead. The car had just kind of continued. I don't know if it was necessarily accelerating, but it wasn't really what I would have done. Is I would have coasted. I would have let go of the acceleration and just let the car coast and slowly press on the brake pedal to kind of get a more smooth braking. This handled it, I thought, pretty well in terms of braking, I went ahead and just pressed on the acceleration pedal as well to just re-engage the system, because we had been stopped for a period of time. There's another intersection that it just handled pretty well. Just went right through and didn't disengage anything. A little bit back and forth right there, but I got another warning just to keep my hands on the steering wheel. So we are going to have to get on the on-ramp up here, and the car does not physically know that, I need to get over, so I'm going to need to manually take over the wheel, and once I engage the blinker, it turns off our lane center keep, and will actually put us in this lane. Now I do see there is somebody walking on this on-ramp, which they should not be, so I'm going to go ahead and just manually take over the steering wheel and press on the brake just for optimal safety with this pedestrian walking here. And then once we get back up to speed, I'll go ahead and re-engage our system, and got a nice brake right there. See how it handles with the acceleration. I actually have to press on the brake pedal because we had to yield to this Mercedes in front of us. Again, the car does not visually see that or make decisions around that, so that's something that I had to manually disengage the system just to let this car go in front of us because we had the yield sign. But as we get onto the highway here, we'll get to see more of the actual highway driver assist features. I'll go ahead and manually bring us over, and thought the car did all right, kind of getting up to speed. I know that there's already some cars in front of us, but I personally would have liked to see the car accelerate a little bit quicker, just merging onto the highway. I would have felt a little bit more safe. See how we handle with this car coming in front of us. Yeah, a little bit hard brake right there. That's another thing that you just have to keep in mind is that, I visually saw that this car was coming into my lane. I probably would have coasted and let him come over. Our car was kind of reacting to just trying to get back up to its own speed and not really taking into account that there was another car there. So that's just something that you have to, manually still look out for. This is not a full autopilot system, so it's not, doing 100% of the driving for you. But when you're just kind of looking at a situation like this where you're in some slower traffic, that's where it's kind of really useful and kind of helps the driver out. In my mind, it does a great job of just, keeping in line with the flow of traffic when there's a decent amount of cars on the road. So right there, I felt a really nice acceleration when I was changing lanes. That I felt that handled a little bit better than when we were merging onto the highway. But so far, there hasn't really been any actual disengagements where I felt kind of unsafe and I've had to take over. If there are any disengagements like that where maybe I'm feeling like we're getting a little bit too close to the car in front of us, or the car is maybe merging into the other lane when it shouldn't be, I'll definitely let you know if I feel that at all, and we'll call that an actual true disengagement rather than me choosing to manually disengage, like if I'm changing lanes by choice. So yeah, just going back to the beginning of just kind of discussing, the purpose of this channel, it's really kind of one to follow along on these over-the-air updates and see how things progress over time. But it's also a place where I want to share some knowledge of kind of what I've learned just from driving this car, and also what I've just learned from the community. If you've seen maybe some of my previous videos, you can go back and watch some different videos where I've had people comment on some of my previous videos on things that they've watched, and they've just made suggestions and what they've been able to find with their own experiences on their Hyundais, and they've decided to comment on some of my videos. And what I like to do is I'll go ahead and call them out and give them a nice shout out in the next videos that I make, just to give them some credit on things that I learned from them. Because, while I get to see the comments that they make, maybe not everyone gets to see that specific comment, so I'll try to shout them out in the next or future videos that I make, to then again share with the community, so everyone else can learn from what we're learning. It's all about kind of sharing knowledge here, and sharing our kind of driving experience, whether you're just a Hyundai driver or a Kia driver. I know there's a lot of overlap between those driving systems. If you're just an avid driver or someone who's interested in the technology behind them, or if you're looking to purchase, this specific model, or a different Hyundai or Kia model that you're looking to make a purchase, and you're just looking for some more knowledge on how these highway driver assist features work and how they react. This is kind of a space for that, and I'm hoping to share some of the knowledge that I've learned along the way. But if there's anything else that you all want to see in any future videos, feel free to leave a comment down below, and I'll be sure to give you a shout out on a future video if we find that it's useful information that will be helpful for the community. That's something that I've found that Hyundai has really done a good job in the past, is that it seems like they tend to listen to their customers for feedback. For example, we're coming from a 2023 Hyundai Tucson limited gas-powered version, and something from that model that we didn't really, it wasn't really that big of a deal, but it was just something that was a small annoyance that we would deal with each day, is that on the 2023 model, they used to have these haptic feedback buttons for the volume control, the up and down volume control, as well as haptic feedback for the actual temperature, changing the temperature dial. And that was just like a minor annoyance. It really wasn't that big of a deal, but it was, something that we noticed. We'll see how the car handles with this low trailer here. Did a good job of braking and reacting to this guy driving all over the place. But yeah, that was kind of just like a minor annoyance, whenever we were listening to music and we either needed to change the volume up or down. It was kind of a little annoying just having to, for example, we wanted to turn the volume down really quickly. We would have to quickly tap it really, a lot. And that was just not a very intuitive way to go about having to change the volume, versus, the knob is you can do it really quickly to get to whatever desired volume you want to get to. You can actually feel that haptic feedback still or it's not haptic, it's more of like a clicking feel from the knob, which is a lot more user-friendly. Same goes with the temperature knobs. I'm not sure if this is coming off on the video or not, but that's something that I've kind of noticed that Hyundai was able to, I'm sure they saw and listened to their customers and their consumers of that was something that people weren't really liking. So that's something that they updated, and they brought back those physical knobs versus the haptic feedback. So just like Hyundai, that's something, I like to listen to the community as well. And if there's certain things that you guys want to share or call out, I'd be more than happy to, shout you out and put you in the video. And also, if there's things that you see that I'm doing wrong, I'd love to, correct myself. At the end of the day, I'm not sitting here claiming to know everything about this car. There's still things that I need to learn as well. For example, another commenter a different time. While I would consider the comment coming from a rude stance rather than a positive, trying to leave positive, constructive feedback, the way he put it is that I was technically pronouncing the manufacturer's name wrong. I've had these cars for close to 4 years now, and I had always thought it was pronounced Hyundai when the commenter made it known. I'm going to choose not to shout them out on this video just because of the nature of the language that was used. However, I am still willing to own up and take ownership that I was pronouncing it wrong. I was calling it Hyundai when the commenter, said it's more pronounced like Sunday. If you think about like the day Sunday, it's pronounced Hyundai, more pronounced like that. So I stand corrected, and I'll own up to my mistakes. And I've been pronouncing it wrong. I haven't been making these videos for 4 years, but I've been calling it or pronouncing it wrong. So I'm going to do the best that I can to pronounce the manufacturer right in the future, and call it Hyundai from here on out, and try to get that right. So I'm not going to sit here and claim to know that I know everything about this car. That would just be ridiculous. It's almost impossible for someone to know everything about everything. So if there's certain things that you see that I'm doing wrong, please shout them out, and I'll make right by it, and I'll make a comment about it in the next video. And if it's actual positive, constructive feedback, I'll even shout you out and throw your comment up on the screen to give you credit. But if you decide to be condescending and it's not very positive in the way that you comment, then maybe I'm not going to shout you out, but I still will take into consideration if I am wrong, and I will make that right. So all things considered, this is just a space for sharing knowledge and sharing things that we learn along the way, and that's how we grow and we get better as a community, is sharing all the knowledge out there. So if there's anything that you guys see that we can improve with this channel, feel free to let me know in the comment section below, and we'll do a better job. It's all about improving my skills as a driver, but also just improving a community as one. So far, I think this drive's been going pretty nicely. I haven't had any actual disengagements other than myself, choosing to manually change lanes. That's when I only have to manually disengage. So another example is going to be coming up, is that we're going to have to be getting off going to the right here. So the car thinks that we're just going to be going straight. So I'm going to have to probably nut. Yep, I can see it just lost lane center keep because it thinks that we're going probably to the left here. And I'm going to actually manually just press on the brake, just because I saw that car going, trying to come over pretty quickly, and I was trying to avoid a sudden braking from the car. But now we're back into fully engaged highway driver assist and smart cruise control 2. See how it handles with this lane ending over here to the right. I just had to pull the car over a little bit, and I'm still pulling the car over. It seems to be wanting to be drifting to the left, even though it says it has lane center keep on. See how it handles this turn here. All right, so lane center keep is disengaged and then re-engaged there. So while it disengaged, it's all right. It's going a little bit shaky here, which is, it's disengaging, it's re-engaging. I'm not sure if it's coming off on the dash up there, but I would say that was not very smooth. I'd probably give that a 2 out of 5 in terms of smoothness. It was kind of bouncing back and forth and overcorrecting itself here and there. I'm not sure if it's because there's some snow coverage, or the lines aren't fully visible to the cameras. But I would have handled that a little bit differently. So I'll go ahead and manually get over here, see the car get up to speed, and it's still kind of at a follow distance of 4, so we're not really getting up to the speed limit just because the other traffic around us is still going beneath the speed limit at this moment. But that's fine, something that I've kind of come to take in as, I've started to use some of these smart driver assist features. Is I've kind of started to care less about driving in the fast lane and just having to get where I'm going as quick as possible, and just letting the car do what it can, and finding the enjoyment in that, and finding the enjoyment of how cool this is, that the car is literally taking this banking turn on its own without any user input at all. It's controlling the speed on its own. It's controlling the curves on its own. And I found kind of that being the entertainment for me in the driving these days. And that's something that I find, really enjoyable to, one, not only enjoy as a driver, but so much so, I've been wanting to make videos about this, and that's kind of what these videos are starting to, talk about, is all these cool driver assist features, just kind of getting us to and from. I really see it as more as a co-pilot than, actually an autopilot doing everything for you. I kind of find it as like a nice to have feature rather than fully reliant on it. I'm not sitting over here and texting and driving and letting the car doing 100% of the driving. It's kind of like a nice safety feature, that, allows me to put less strain on my thinking power, if that makes sense. Less strain on my brain and having to always, brake or accelerate or, keep the car centered at all times. I'm always keeping my eyes on the road at all times, because I know the car's, not doing everything for me in sense of a safety standpoint. But, if I can give my brain just, that little bit of a break, I feel less stressed out, I would say, from driving. And, really, you probably would notice it more on like long haul drives, when the car is doing a lot more of the driving for you, and it's a little bit less stress on your eyes and your brain making less decisions, so you're getting probably less tired. At least that's what I like to think when it's coming to longer haul drives. But you can let me know down in the comments below is what you think of these kind of driver assist features and how they make you drive differently, whether it's I'm going to go ahead and manually brake just to let this bus get over, just because he probably doesn't need to get off here. So that was by choice there. If I had let the car kind of continue on, I probably would have forced him into an awkward situation where he may have missed his exit. Everyone can make the argument, he should have gotten over earlier, but, I'm trying to be, a decent driver here, and if that means that I have to manually disengage to let someone in, then whatever, I'm completely fine with that. We're going to have to do another manual disengagement here, just because I need to get over, and our exit is coming up. But yeah, let me know down in the comments what you think of these driver assist features, and kind of how it has either changed your driving style, whether it's for the positive or for the better, or let me know if you tend to use them more often or just are manually driving more and using them as like a safety net. But I'm going to go ahead and disengage because this is our exit. And I'm going to kind of end the video here because there's no more highway driving, and we're coming up to our destination pretty soon. So if you found this video helpful, or you enjoyed it, feel free to drop a like, or drop a subscribe if you want to see any future videos. Or if you don't want to, then you don't have to. It's completely up to you, completely your choice. But if not, I hope you at least found this video somewhat helpful, and we'll see you on the next drive.